All right.
That's what I'm talking about. You can't let nobody else talk. He's over stumbling over a damn acronym.
Say, go, pussy testy, motherfucker.
And he was like, "Oh, they'll never be no good. They're like Kentucky or some shit like that."
I'm curious to see where all
Get prepared to do a lot of scrolling.
So it's way on down there, right?
They're way down.
Welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips, my co-host and producer, and one Mr. Dr. Ball. Arthur, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't test my shit, so I lucked out.
Yeah. It worked out great. How am I coming through? I actually, I fiddled with some knobs before I came on. So how's everything sound on?
You sound great.
Excellent.
Hell yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, Kenneth, how's Kenneth going to sound tonight?
Hang on. Let me do an impression of that. Everybody be quiet.
All right.
Okay.
Just like that.
That's it. That's my impression of Kenneth, which unfortunately I really, really hate that. I hope that he does come on because he has been ghost for a while now. Maybe he's mad. I don't know. But Auburn fans have nothing to be mad about.
No,
the game that I saw should have gave the Auburn faithful a lot of hope, and not just because it was against Georgia, but because it was a pretty complete performance by them for the most part.
Here's where Kenneth made the mistake. Now, all Kenneth had to say was, after the A&M game, he should have said, "Okay, so I still think Auburn might beat Georgia, but maybe they won't." And then he could have set himself up, and then he could have come on the show tonight and said, "This Auburn team is getting much better." But he can't do that now because he guaranteed victory.
He did.
And he's not coming on. We know he's not coming on because he has not even popped in one time today, has he?
Nope.
What's his new name? He's like got a new name. What is it? John, I don't know what his new name is. I forgot it.
You talking about the Jim Bob something or another that I saw in chat? What was that about? See, I didn't even know who that was. I just thought we added somebody else. I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, come on to the party.
Yeah, that's Kenneth, right? Billy Joe Jim Bob Jr. or whatever his name is.
I don't know. He's had a really tough go of it for a while. I'm going to back off for a minute.
Okay.
Well,
what about the fire? I mean, is he on fire or is it the fire?
Well, the Georgia football team was definitely not on fire against the Auburn Tigers. Auburn has a really good defense, suspiciously good.
I thought they looked pretty good myself. I mean, I watched most of that game, and they gave Georgia a hell of a fight, if you ask me.
They did, and I offensively, I really love the play calling because offensively, Hugh Freeze had to play to Auburn's strengths, which unfortunately at this point in his tenure, there's not that many. I'm not really going to be hating on Auburn's quarterback situation too bad. It is what it is. I will say that receiver, that big giant hulking receiver, Bowers is that the fella's name? You're going to be hearing a lot about him this season.
Now, I will say this about Georgia: the jury is still way out on this Georgia offense. They've struggled with South Carolina now and Auburn. I mean, I don't know what it's worth.
They've struggled, but they've won.
They have won.
But
they've struggled against South Carolina and Auburn. It really is going to depend on how good South Carolina and Auburn are.
But the trick is,
we really don't know that.
The trick is, though, as long as they keep winning, they can struggle win all they want to. As long as they keep winning, they're going to stay out of our live championship holes, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm going to tell you something right now. Kentucky has one of the best running backs in the country.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and shift over to which I know is going to be because I know Bob had a lot to say about what Kentucky was not able to pull off. Kentucky was completely dominant in that game, and their running game. Wow.
And so So we don't know how Georgia's going to. I mean, we know Georgia's got a good defense, but are they going to handle this running back? If they can't handle Kentucky's running back, this could be a game.
And Auburn gave them some really good film to be able to watch to play with that Georgia defense and grind them down. That was Auburn's bread and butter in that loss, which was a narrow loss, and they really played Georgia completely all the way through the game. They just couldn't punch it in.
And I think Kentucky's going to be able to put pressure on Georgia, right? And they got, I guess it's like the linebacker you. Almost like Alabama anymore, and they're just constantly putting pressure on people. And if they just caught more balls, it would have been a bigger blowout. Drop balls was the only thing that kept that game from getting plumb out of hand with Florida. But I think it'll be the best defense that Georgia has seen to this point, and it'll be the best running game that they'll see all season. So, and Kentucky's played Georgia solid, but I want to give a shout out the fact that Kentucky, after 31 years of desperation, has beat Florida 4 of the last 6 guys.
Does anybody know is there a line on this game yet?
Well, I haven't seen it. But
there would be no way in hell. You'd have to be a crazy person to throw money in this game.
I'd say
there's so many different possibilities. I'd love to know the over/under. I bet it's like relatively low after that Auburn game.
I'd say 24 to 23 kind of game.
It's going to be interesting. I'm definitely, after seeing that running back, I'm definitely interested in this game.
So, he's got a line. So he did good. He led the SEC last year. At Vanderbilt didn't even have a line. Well, Kentucky has a line. So, I mean, he put up 280 yards, which a lot of people thought Florida had a good defense. And they were statistically leading the country in rushing defense. But Georgia has some players. They just sent a lot of people to the NFL, but the guys they still have are really good. I'm not ready to write them off this minute, but I know that the Kentucky can put pressure on Carson Beck, and I know that it's going to be not easy to run for Georgia, and it's going to, even if it ain't easy to run for Kentucky, they're going to be able to run. And I just don't see them stopping Ray Davis. And the quarterback just only has to do so much.
So I know this is a cliched thing that I'm fixing to say here, but really looking around for the first, what are we in, week 5 now?
Yep.
Week 6.
Week 6.
5.5.
I do not see. I guess Michigan's the most dominant team I've seen, and we don't know really about Michigan yet because Michigan has
that pains me to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, but even Michigan, we haven't seen them play a great team yet, so
no.
It's possible we don't really have a dominant team, and that makes it very interesting. Still four playoff spots this year. We moved to the 12 team next year, I believe.
Well, think about it. If you're Kentucky, right? So this is your last chance, because next year, this may be the last chance for a long time. A team like Kentucky has a chance to go and win the. So the divisions are out in the SEC. So if Kentucky's ever going to win the East, this is the year, right? If they're going to go to the CFP, it's just so unlikely after the Texas and Oklahoma come to they would be like 5th or 6th. So teams like Kentucky would be 5th or 6th of the SEC unless something drastic happens. So it's a knock this year or bust for Kentucky. It's ahead of them to go to the CFP. I know it's unbelievable, right? But it is ahead of them. If they beat Georgia, everything's ahead of them to go to CFP. Unbelievable season and win the East, because they've won 2 East games, just like Alabama. So everybody's trying to write Alabama off, right? But Alabama only lost to a team outside of the SEC and has won 2 West games in a row.
And so far, that team is ranked, number 3?
Yes. So strength of schedule, that helps Alabama, even though they lost, in my opinion. So I can see, I know it sounds insane, but there's an Alabama-Kentucky matchup this year, guys.
Strength of loss is the reason that LSU is still in the top 25. Try that on precise. That's the only reason that LSU is in the top 25 because of their the strength of losses.
Think about this possibility: Kentucky and Alabama meet in the regular season this year, and it could mean something.
Yeah, that game looks odd to me now. Alabama typically does not travel very far in November. You know, they always got their Mercer or whoever it is they fucking play right before the Auburn game.
Yeah.
They've got the Auburn game. They typically play Mississippi State and LSU. But after the LSU game, which is one of the most physical games for Alabama all year, those teams let it all hang out for that fucking game. It's a big rivalry. We got to go to fucking Lexington the next week after playing LSU.
Yeah.
That's
So
fucked
even
up. That looks weird to me, and I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm picking Kentucky, but I'm saying I have an uneasy feeling about it, especially after seeing the running back.
now, what's interesting about the Georgia game is even if Kentucky loses, Kentucky's the most physical team in the SEC besides Georgia. So even if Georgia wins the game, they'll come out of the game battered, right? And then they'll have another tough game the next week. So, and then they'd be tied with the tiebreaker over Kentucky. But if they lose another one, Kentucky could still win the East, even if they lose to Georgia.
What if this is Kentucky's year?
Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, I've been waiting for a tip for a long time.
I mean, it's going to happen at some point. We know it.
But
All just knows.
Mark Stoops has done just a phenomenal job there, and each and every year when you think, okay, yeah, that was a pretty good season, maybe they're they've got some decent recruits going on, yada yada, this, that, and the other, but they're going to get back to 7-5 and 8-4 any day now, and it just, I don't know, it just really seems like that program has kind of finally hit its stride.
Yeah, but we'll know for sure at the Georgia game. That's a big yardstick, right? But I do believe Kentucky's physical enough to play them. They played them closer than anybody else the last several years, and we can put pressure on their quarterback and we can run the football.
Speaking of the East, what about Missouri at the moment?
Yeah, Missouri's doing well too. That's a big.
They're undefeated.
That could be a matchup that matters. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me that the matchups that really matter in the SEC this year could be Missouri, Kentucky, and Alabama and Kentucky. I mean, just
that's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy. And I've seen Tennessee this year, and I don't believe Milton is that good. And I think that Kentucky could get pressure on him too. So, I mean, it's either possible there's going to be like 3 one-loss teams in the East, or somebody's going to break out. And to me, Georgia doesn't look like they look relaxed. Does anybody think that Georgia looks relaxed, like they just think they're going to win it and it's going to be all right?
I mean, perhaps. I don't know. I am going to give a little bit of credit to Auburn's defense. Auburn's defense looked really good yesterday, and
yeah, I thought so too.
Carried their assignments in the way that they were supposed to. Keep that game from getting out of hand.
Well, they had gaps. They had good gap discipline and stuff like that. So, which has improved over the last several weeks. So, I really love to watch linebackers for teams like Auburn that have real talent, that's just young or disorganized or whatever it is. And that's one of the areas that Auburn, I believe, is shaping up, guys. Is their linebackers look strong and they're hard hitting. That was a game. If you had surround sound and you liked it,
Do we lose Bob?
I don't know.
Kentucky.
He paused for a second. Okay, yeah. There he is.
Sorry, I dropped out for a second, and I came back in, and everything was good. But...
Okay. Y'all need to pay your internet bill.
Yeah, we've got the wrong fucking shit up right now. Let me go back.
I use my internet. I use my neighbor's internet. He's a respectable fellow.
I love that graphic. That's a special graphic, Doug. Thank you so much.
Okay, it finally came back.
That's a true story. That happened this weekend.
I was actually seeing the wrong graphic.
Happened.
Now, Doug, I got to ask you a question. Me and you've talked about this a few times. So here on the air. So do you think a Florida coach can lose to Kentucky 3 years in a row and keep his job?
I do at this point, because Kentucky is definitely for real. And this is his second season. I don't think they'll fire him that quick. I think that he's going to have a real problem going into next year, though.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be tough. It's unprecedented, though, so that's a game changer. Now,
well, he is going to have some problems going throughout the rest of the year if they're not, I haven't looked at Florida's schedule lately, so I don't know exactly who they have left or when they have them, but I can imagine there's some pretty dark spots for Florida fans coming up.
We know they still got Missouri. I don't know that Missouri's been heavily tested, but they've played some really good teams. They had
Kansas
played.
State's a good team.
Yeah, that's a good team. They have played.
And I can't remember if that game was in was what is that? Independence is where Kansas State is.
I think it was at Missouri.
Manhattan. Manhattan.
So, but yeah, then their quarterback's been there forever. What, see, like a 6-year season? Brady Cook, had he been there forever?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go. We're gonna learn about some Bones coffee real quick.
Let's do it.
What's the difference between these two identical cups of coffee? Everything. Everything. Boring, basic coffee is leaving you dead inside. Thank the Dark Lord, there's Bones Coffee. Small batch, full-bodied coffee infused with the most mind-melting flavors in the world. Or underworld.
Oh, I've had flavored coffee.
Oh, I've had coffee before. You haven't had Welcome to the highly caffeinated, slightly wicked, and immortally delicious world of Bones. Our mad coffee scientists have twisted nature to their demented wills.
It's alive!
With frightfully delicious flavors like from dusk till donuts.
It's a taste I can really sink my teeth into.
Mint invaders.
I don't mean to probe, but how did you make this coffee taste like ice cream?
And electric unicorn.
Like eating fruity cereal. Yeah!
At Bones Coffee, we'll try just about every flavor combo out there.
Cannolis, salted pretzels, strawberry cheesecake.
The ones we love are made into small batches, roasted to order, and delivered directly to you. But the others... Rest in peace, Beanfish. We've got over 30 killer concoctions. So French press that link to find your new flavored coffee. There's more to life than pumpkin spice. But yeah, we smashed that pumpkin too. We also have comforting classic coffee if the flavored stuff is too scary. At Bones, our beans are complex and multidimensional.
I have opinions.
Which makes for rich, smooth, jaw-droppingly good Joe. Stop drinking hot bean water and resurrect your caffeine routine. You can Bones at home, Bones at work, or Bones during your commute. Go to bonescoffee.com and check out our thousands of spooktacular 5-star reviews. If committing to one flavor gives you the heebie-jeebies, try our sample packs, a shocking selection of our most hauntingly delicious blends. Or join the coffee club and get new flavors delivered as often as you like. It's time to break from boring. Click the link to get yourself a bag of Bones today.
Did we? Well, they haven't sent me any Bones coffee at all. Not a single bit. So, is that a left-handed cigarette here?
Absolutely. Of the same nature, of the nature that you know about.
Mm-hmm. Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Place.
Yes. Special time of year.
Rich history.
Oh yeah.
Well, what's left of it, anyways?
Yeah, I can't believe they blew up their own monuments. That really hurt me years ago when the Taliban was taking howitzers and shooting the massive Buddhas in pieces with them.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think you'd want to know as much about that crap as possible. I mean, I love it. Petroglyphs are a big deal to me. You know, I love petroglyphs, and my old lady and I's been all over the West and stuff looking at them. The ones like on Ancient Aliens, you know.
Yeah, but it's so weird though that you could just get an idea. You know, I'm not going to name any specific world leaders or this, that, and the other, but just one of them gets an idea that, hey, this is a bad thing. You know, this way we've been living, or all of this, idol worship, or however you want to look at it, and then convinces enough people that it's a bad thing, and next thing you know, you got howitzers shredding statues to pieces.
I know it's insane. I can't understand it. At least you appreciate it as art, even if you didn't believe it. I mean, that's the beauty of true atheism, right? Even though I'm not an atheist, I respect the true atheist because they can say it's all bullshit and it doesn't matter, and they're not going to fight about it or belittle anybody because they can just dismiss. It's when you're insecure.
Oh, man, I have never, ever met an atheist that was quiet about it, ever.
No, me neither.
I'm sorry.
Me neither.
I'm sorry, man.
They're very, very angry at the God they say doesn't exist.
And that look, I get the whole atheism thing. I have my own beliefs, and I'm not going to go into all that right now. But I get atheism, and I get why people would gravitate towards that. But I've never, ever met one that just didn't want to go on for forever. Almost in the same fashion that the church going folks that they tend to poke fun at. It's the same interaction. You need to believe the way I believe, and I've got it all figured out, or my people got it all figured out. Let me tell you why for an hour and a half.
Now, wouldn't that be characterized as anti-theism instead of just atheism?
Yes.
Well, I think atheism isn't that kind of a shortening of that term. I've never really checked the etymology of that word.
I mean, I've even met agnostics.
I feel like using the word entomology on this show is really kind of classing up the joint. I like that.
Yeah,
I need to use more 50-cent words.
I've met agnostics that are basically like, we don't know that if a God exists, and we can't know that a God exists, and that's going a little overboard too, in my opinion. And I mean, really, you see overboard shit from all the isms, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, but I also get too, because again, there are a lot of people, and not just with we'll just use Christianity because it's the most popular religion still in the United States and worldwide. Last time I checked. But you have a lot of people that have gotten into it to make money off of it and to exploit other people's varying beliefs of different parts of that structure. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, you're right. In fact, we need to take this one small thing real quick. There was a radio personality here in town, a female. She was really popular for a while, kind of got in a little bit of trouble, and famously was disgraced and kind of got away. Well, I did a job for her years later, and she had gotten like super religious, like super religious, which was hilarious because her on-air personality was party girl and all the concerts and yada yada. And she goes on for like 45 minutes and is very insistent about that. I hear her stance on which is almost kind of like a Seventh-day Adventist, but it's like some splinter sect that she had gotten involved in. I can't even remember the name of it now, but she was just like all about the Sabbath and keeping it holy, which I get the sense in that, and I definitely, you have to forgive me, I got a mic cord issue here. I get the sense in that, but man, I mean, just really just ramming it down my throat. You really need to stop what you're doing and believe this way because you are just completely ruining your life. Because I tend to work on Sunday from time to time.
Speaking of ruining lives, the USC fans are making a lot of fucking excuses today, aren't they? So what's up? Did USC go to sleep? Or did Colorado come really close to winning this game?
Or is everybody paying attention to how fucking dominant Oregon is? Because you just mentioned Michigan is probably the most dominant team in college football right now, at least as far as the eye test goes. And I don't know, Oklahoma.
Oregon hasn't played anybody great either. So.
What about Washington? I think that they might be the most dominant team in college football.
They kind of, again, didn't really necessarily dominate yesterday. Who was that? That was another Pac rival.
Well, USC don't have a defense, so I think it's going to be tough for them to beat a team that has a defense and an offense, right? I mean, so if it comes down to say that there's 10 possessions in the last half total, and one team gets 6 of them, one team gets 4 of them, they're going to win the game, no matter how dominant the offense is. If both offenses are near equal, say Ohio State and USC, right? So right now, I think that game in the regular season would probably be near a toss-up because USC has defense and I mean not USC, but Ohio State has defense and USC has offense. So you have to say who can score with USC and then possibly stop them for at least one critical possession. Well, that narrows it down to Washington, Michigan, and maybe Oregon. What do you think?
Oh, and also real quick, that was Arizona that they played yesterday. They handed them their second loss, 31-24. the Washington Huskies did. So it's not very a dominant performance. However, Penix Jr. threw for 63 yards. So that's
I don't think Oregon's great. We'll see. I mean, we're going to find that out because the Pac does have some good teams in it, and we'll know as time goes on.
And Oregon at the moment seems to be the most dominant, and quite a few folks said maybe the Pac is for real this year on their
Who's the best team that Oregon's played? Probably Colorado.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. We don't know how good.
Colorado's
got a good offense.
Go, I mean, 42-6 over Stanford doesn't really tell you anything. Stanford's only won one game this year.
What I do know is for the SEC to win the Natty, whatever team comes out of the SEC's got to be able to give a team like Oregon or Washington USC a big bloody nose, right? I mean, so who is going to be at the end of the year if they come out of the SEC and get a chance at CFP is going to be able to deliver the kind of brutality it takes for them guys to understand that the SEC is better. And I'm looking at that right now, and I don't really know who that is. But
yeah, as far as a whole complete team, talking about a dynamic running game, great quarterback, a solid defense. Nobody has really kind of stuck their head up as being, that kind of representative just yet from the SEC on both sides, the East and the West.
Though I felt Alabama was more physical this weekend, and you can see that their linebackers is shaping up pretty good.
Milroe has not captured his identity fully yet. There are bits and pieces and flashes in every single performance he's had that gives you a little bit of hope that, man, this guy's really special. He's a fucking great athlete. However, as far as the game manager that he replaced, look, Bryce Young, that's like Auburn down there on the plains with Cam Newton, that quarterback they bought when you couldn't buy a quarterback legally. I'm never going to let them live that down. And then speaking of religion, they brought a church into it. So whatever. But that's again, I'm using them as an example because after they had him, which was a lightning in the bottle, Doug, name a better Auburn quarterback
than
Cam Newton.
Pat Sullivan was pretty good. It's before my time.
He was better than Cam Newton and reached the heights that Cam Newton did.
He won the Heisman.
I mean, but as far as NFL career,
no, he didn't really do much in the NFL.
Yeah.
I would say that Cam Newton
would probably be about it. And as far as we're concerned, Bryce Young, although Tua's putting up some numbers down in Miami right now. Bryce Young's also done a pretty good job as well. So I don't know, man. Mac Jones as well. And then you come off of that string. Yeah. Jalen Hurts. I mean, you come off of that string of just incredible quarterbacks to Jalen Milroe. And that's a hell of an expectation. Don't think for a second that he's not thinking about those expectations on every single play and every single throw. And it seemed like he kind of eased up just a little bit with Mississippi State, but this wasn't a great Mississippi State team.
If he ever gets it, though, he's the size of Cam Newton, and he's the athletic ability level of Cam Newton. If he ever gets it, it's going to be ugly, Shannon.
He's reading the field better. I will give him that. There were a couple spots that was like, okay, great. Stayed in the pocket instead of trying to scramble out. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. I just need my one guy to line up right here. And there were a couple, really, really, really good decisions made. And then, mixing it up with the run game a little bit more. He's been relatively efficient past couple games. How many passes did he miss yesterday, Doug? Do you know that right off the top of your head?
I do not.
I can look that up real quick because it wasn't many. It wasn't many at all.
All right. While you look it up,
10 for 12 for like 169.
No, he threw more passes than that, I think. I don't know. Unless you're looking at it, unless you're cheating and looking at it.
I read before the podcast. I caught up on several games because I was interested in Alabama. Well, they won like 41-17. I was like, well, how did that happen? But I think it's because they had 3 interceptions. It wasn't that Milroe didn't do anything. They had short fields, it looks like, most of the game.
Yeah, that's right. 10 for 12, 164 yards. He also rushed. He was the leading rusher with 69 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And Alabama had like 4 other backs that put up significant numbers. So it was a big rushing day for Alabama.
But the most interesting number, talking about quarterback play, was Will Rogers, who only threw for 107 yards. And I think Will Rogers was like in the top 5 of NCAA total passing yards last year.
I'll always take care of you. Hey, little bear bear. Gonna be a good boy?
Don't worry, doll, about the rest of our lives.
From this day
Through thick and thin,
Come on, bear.
I'll be there by your side.
Oh. I'm gonna love you forever.
Hey, bear.
Yeah, it's a whole different game though. There's I don't
3
think
interceptions, 1, 2, 3 of those. Alabama's defense is playing a lot more like a Nick Saban coach defense does. It's nice
And
to
that's-
see that. It's nice
and
to
that's
see.
another head-to-head West win too.
And the defense was also responsible for some of them 40 points as well. Back,
Hell yeah.
So what else? Notre Dame, they survived Duke. And apparently Duke's supposed to be pretty good.
I guess they are.
I mean, they were
It's the same lethargic performance that we see with Notre Dame. There's just something that I don't know. It's not a great brand of football over there. I don't know what it is. Sean Devine would have a screaming match with me right now, but I'm sorry, it's just not.
Clemson.
They're still hanging around though. I mean, good on them, I guess.
Clemson finally did beat a Power 5 team yesterday.
Goodness.
It was their first Power 5 win of the year.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It was. I mean, they did come close against FSU, but
And Syracuse usually plays Clemson pretty tough though, so that was a decent win for Clemson.
Almost like they slipped up in recent years and won one of them, if I remember correct. Yeah, good times.
So
Clemson,
yeah,
they don't want to talk about that.
Mike Richardson, do you have anything to say about that?
Is Mike
Nope.
here?
No, he must be asleep.
He's
not here.
Was he supposed to be on?
He was supposed to be gone. We're fixing to start banning people who do this shit.
I think we should.
We really should, because I mean, there's no reason. I mean, he said he wanted to come on, and I put him in the chat. I told him 9 Eastern, and of course, we really gonna have to ban Kenneth, because Kenneth, what has he shown up twice? Twice. And,
we devoted a whole 15 minutes to that motherfucker. He showed up twice.
Yep, and I don't see him ever showing up if Auburn loses.
And since we're on the subject of it, because again, we were gently asked by upper management here at College Football Dogs, Hunter, that maybe it would be a great idea if we did this segment with this crazy Auburn guy that they had. Yeah.
And it's a great segment as long as Auburn hasn't lost.
As long as Auburn fans have a representative, a solid representative that can come in and week out, win or lose, with big fucking balls and bring it. Yep. Which is what I thought we were getting into. That's what I thought we were signing up for. But
no, he disappears anytime Auburn loses. He's done.
Apparently, Hunter needed to shop a little bit better for a co-host to foist upon us.
He's like, what's that?
I had a feeling that as excited as he got when Auburn beat UMass, I had a feeling anybody that gets that excited over that shit is going to be down in the fucking dumps if they lose, and he will not show
They beat
up.
Cal too. Let's not forget that. I think everybody's beat Cal at this point. What do they have, like one win?
But that's that was a little bit more understandable than UMass. But you would have thought that they just won a national championship from Kenneth right after they beat UMass.
So sad for him.
All right, so
Michigan.
Michigan.
He called his ex-old lady's house on fire after he got him a new girlfriend.
Michigan
Always something with that guy.
Michigan beat Nebraska. Nebraska loses. Typically, Nebraska's been playing close games, though. So, who's the new coach at Nebraska?
Who cares?
It's the guy that was at Baylor.
Matt Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule. Matt Rule he's turned the tide for Nebraska. Instead of losing close now, they're getting their ass beat again.
Okay. They're returning to form.
Yeah. Sean Galooly still thinks that Texas A&M is a playoff bound team, possibly.
Yeah.
Oh,
they won yesterday, so we'll give them that. We'll give them that much.
I mean, they typically beat Arkansas no matter what's going on there. Have you noticed that?
Why don't you look into God, see how he does his thing?
Exactly.
Man, that's talking about never living one down. As long as Jimbo is a coach anywhere, I'm going to utter that phrase. I don't care if Nick Saban, God rest his soul, and God forbid if he passes away tomorrow, I'm still going to remind Jimbo Fisher of that. I'll probably utter that phrase when I piss on his grave.
I don't know Go ahead.
What do y'all think about Max Johnson?
Is that LSU?
No. So he transfers from LSU to ATM, and then he's on the bench, and then their quarterback gets hurt. They put Max Johnson in.
You said Max Johnson, and I thought you were talking about like some porn star. That's a porn star name. Seriously, it is. So Max Johnson. What film have I seen him in? Was he in with what's her name, Riley Reed?
So Max Johnson is playing for Texas A&M now. He's the starting quarterback now.
No. So their quarterback gets hurt, and he comes in and does all right the game before, and then yesterday he has a good game. So he's the quarterback at ATM, even though he transferred from LSU and had to ride the bench behind the guy that just
here he puts in a hard performance.
Because he's Max Johnson.
Dude, you know his mama when she come up with that name, what she was doing there.
Yeah,
babies. I want pretty grandbabies. Oh, Max Johnson over here.
I had an IT guy that worked for me named Man Deep, right? And my brother was on the phone with him trying to set up these routers. He's like, "Man," he goes, "you're really special, dude." He goes, "Why's that?" He goes, "Because you go man deep."
I shit you not. I had a lawyer, and Doug knows this to be true. I had a lawyer named Dick Bite. True story.
So we're at the Indy 500, and the commentators are Jack Arute and Dick Trickle. Think about that.
Dick Trickle. I remember old Dick Trickle. He was a good racer now, but that name.
Yeah, but he was sitting next to Jack Arute, right?
Yeah, so, you don't bring up the NASCAR race at Grandma's house with that Dick Trickle shit. You take that outside. You don't talk like that in my house. The Bible's sitting right over there on the table.
If your name's Dick Trickle, you should go with Richard, don't you think?
No, Lord, no. No, you sell T-shirts with Dick Trickle on it. Come on now, you play that shit up as far as you can, particularly when you're at the bar. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Dick Trickle, single, ready to mingle. If you follow my drift.
So is there
you smoke Winston's?
Yeah. Is there anything else that happened memorable yesterday? I'm trying to remember.
The UAB dynasty is not looking great.
You're right.
They were actually hanging in there with Tulane for a good portion of the game, and then Tulane they said, okay, enough of this. That is Trent Dilfer on the sidelines, but we got a game to win, fellas.
Hell yeah.
That was the Bionic Man, wasn't it?
Yeah. I got a bunch of them here.
And it's coming in good tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll explain all that later. I've had to reroute all because I got two different boards running, an interface board and a sound board and everything. It's just sounding great tonight. Coming in clear.
Yeah.
Coming in clear, but there still is no Kenneth.
Well, Kenneth is not supposed to come in until for 7 more minutes.
But he hasn't reached out, though, has he? Has he reached out?
No. I haven't seen anything from Kenneth since Auburn lost.
Mm-hmm.
He did see my comment earlier, though. But I'll bet you money he don't pop in.
Did y'all hear the
What would he pop in for? If he pops in, that means he's got to do the show and talk about a game that Auburn lost, which I still say Auburn has nothing to be ashamed of in that loss. Nothing at all. Right, Kenneth?
Oh, we get the Crickets and the Coyotes.
Kenneth. Kenneth? Okay, well, maybe we'll give him a chance here in a little bit when his scheduled segment is supposed to come on.
I'm asking him right now. Larry's son, Redding.
Pass me that joint, Bob.
You hiding or are you coming in?
I will. Oh, that's right.
And we're back with Trying to Find Kenneth. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug and Dr. Balls, and we're missing our friend Kenneth Ingram today. Kenneth was implicated in his wife's home being destroyed by fire, and we are glad that he's been exonerated from that. His Auburn football team, unfortunately, has already lost. How many games now? Now, Doug, is it 2 games, I believe, in the season, and Kenneth Ingram still has yet to make it on the show. Tune in. And we're back. It's smacking off the podcast. See how quick I did that?
Special.
That was. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna eat up some time that Kenneth could be talking about Auburn and what a great team that he thinks that they are. And I'll just make up a skit about, Kenneth not being here right now.
Yes, go for
what
it.
Y'all think? I did that shit on the fly.
We like it.
No. I want an honest critique here, Doug.
Well, I'll dig it. I think it was special. I mean, anything that was that special on the fly that could make somebody like Kenneth look like the show duck and ghost he is. I mean, we could call him Ghost Kitty, but that's too cool for him because that implies that he's cool. But you're not cool when you duck.
Yeah, well, you don't get cool nicknames on this show if you keep standing us up like this, Mike Richardson.
Oh, that's awful.
So that's how you got your name, Dr. Balls. We'd give Sean Devine a name, but he hadn't been on in a while. What would Sean Devine's name be?
Let's see. He'd be the major, wouldn't he?
Is that his rank?
Yes, I think he's going for.
Am I supposed to talk about that? I don't think I'm supposed to talk about that.
Would it be ironic if Tommy Tuberville was keeping him from being promoted to lieutenant colonel?
I don't want to talk about Tommy Tuberville ever on this show, and I feel like we brought him up last podcast, and I was kind of clear about that. I'm not sure, but I despise that man.
Oh, that's special.
This is long before he went to Washington, because I don't really have a dog in that fight up there. You know what I'm saying? But as an Alabama fan, I will never forget that fucking gay ass fear the thumb bullshit. Remember that?
Oh,
a little T-shirt about fear the thumb, and everybody's going around holding up the 5, and then the thumb there, fear the thumb. Yeah, because they won 6 in a row against Alabama in the Mike years.
Goodness,
it's like your neighbor that you've been feuding with for forever finally comes out and he's on crutches, and then you start going around. It's like, you know what? I'm finally gonna whoop that motherfucker's ass, and you go over and you start beating him up, and then you start bragging to all your neighbors about how you can whoop that guy's ass now.
You know what, though? I think the way you said that's how Kentucky feels about Florida, right? And then Alabama did the same thing that Kentucky did to Florida and crushed them utterly time and time again, right? So that's a special feeling when somebody's had you down and they don't really deserve it, and they haven't acted good about it, right? And then you finally crush them utterly over and over again. Right.
You remember the last time that Tommy Tuberville coached against Alabama? Remember that score?
What was it?
Oh God, I need to look that up. That was the one that they was the 49-0? No, or was that Chiswick? That might have been Chiswick. I got to look that one up.
It was 37-0. The first
37-0.
The first time that Saban beat Auburn, which was his second season. Yeah.
Yes.
before the Chiswick dynasty.
Chiswick.
And they're paid for quarterback, which you can buy a quarterback now. You can straight cash buy a quarterback now for the NCAA.
No, didn't they ID the back man there?
What a time to be alive.
Oh yeah.
Gator meat.
They could eat Duke's mayonnaise in their coffee and then go to the NFL and crap out, just like
Do
Will
people
Evans.
really put mayonnaise in their coffee? Is that a thing? Is that like one of those old Southern traditions?
Will Levis did though, so he got him some NIL before he got right out of Tennessee. You know.
But did he put mayonnaise in his coffee? You're the one who brought this mayonnaise in the coffee thing up.
No, he did it right there on
I've heard
Twitter.
about this before.
He did it right on Twitter. He did a live video.
Why?
I don't know why. Then he did something where he ate the banana peel on the Paul Finebaum show.
I could understand it because I've actually put a whole banana in a smoothie, like just the whole thing, peel and all, grind it down.
A lot of fiber.
Yeah, great fiber. You poop solid, man.
Solid.
Like when you poop, it goes.
That's how I feel about Kentucky dropping Florida for the third time in a row. That's how special I feel about it. And I'm sad that Mike Richardson.
They dropped them hard too. Oh man, that was pretty tough to watch if you were any kind of Florida fan.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do a commercial and then kick into Sharpening Iron, possibly the last segment of Sharpening Iron on this show.
Goodness.
Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe,
hey.
We all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better. Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Sharpening Iron with Kenneth Ingram.
So we're joined now with Kenneth Ingram.
Yeah.
Kenneth, are you there? Kenneth? All right. Kenneth don't want this segment anymore.
He don't want this smoke. That's what the kids say. The kids say it on Twitter now. So they don't want this smoke. You don't want this smoke, dog.
All right, so let's
because he already knows, and it's. I mean, we already knew it before the season, but he knows and understands fully now that Alabama is going to win this Iron Bowl. There's no sense in even showing up now. He can go ahead and let this whole entire football season go. He doesn't even have to watch games anymore. Can you understand how freeing that would be?
You know, yes, Saban. You think he's going to make an example out of your freeze in the Iron Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there will be an example made there, and he will try. And by then, we'll know exactly what shape everybody's in doing the damn thing.
I don't want to take. I don't want to be devil's advocate here, but I'm going to have to just for a second. Saban's had a lot of problems winning at Auburn, especially if Auburn ends up with 9 wins, which I don't think they will, but you never know.
Goodness. I just don't think they're going to beat them because Thorne ain't no good. I just don't know how to put 2 guys any other way. But Auburn's real problem is their quarterback just isn't any good. I mean,
look, as an Alabama fan, I'm not really going to be hating on anybody's quarterback at the moment. So it doesn't look great. The other one, the other fellow that they had come out for a minute. What's his story?
I don't think he was any good either, man.
I've enjoyed this Sharpening Iron segment, to be quite honest. This has been one of the best ones so far.
It's one of my favorites, actually. Roll Tide. I'm going to say Roll Tide.
Yeah, let's all say Roll Tide together to Kenny, who's not here.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
No, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Roll Tide. You dirty bitch. That's what I'm talking about.
So who's Auburn play next? Let me pull that up.
Auburn's going to play. Auburn's going to play. God, that's an SEC game, isn't it?
Probably Pinochle.
They play, I believe. All right, let me get Mike in.
The Auburn LSU game is coming up next. The Tiger versus Tiger. Hot Tiger on Tiger action. What I'm seeing. And that's in Baton Rouge.
Mr. Richardson, what happened with your Kentucky Wildcats yesterday?
We finally got an offensive line to play right, and Florida sucked more than we thought.
Well, there he is. Where the hell you been? We've been doing like this whole show. We're almost done. You're like coming down toward the end.
Dude, I know it. I completely forgot. I was a jackass.
Well, at least you did. You showed up though. Most folks would have just like Clemson Dane would have just said, "Nah, screw them guys. I'll try to apologize to them tomorrow." But you at least had balls to show up late to the AA meeting.
Right. I was honestly watching Blue Beetle. I forgot all about it.
Oh, hi, Mike. I'm Shannon. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Shannon.
I hope Blue Beetle's a good fucking movie.
It wasn't bad.
Right, now, which movie was this that you saw that you were dumping us for?
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle? What is Blue Beetle?
The first thing I think of when I hear Blue Beetle is the Blue Meanies on.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's like, oh, Blue Meanie movie. I can get behind that.
He was in Charlton Comics. He was Charlton Comics.
Blue Meanies.
Man, that fucking cartoon it's kind of infectious. I
It's
really
great.
can't
We
stop
watched it
watching
not long ago.
I love it. I love Yellow Submarine.
Just completely, just like walking down the yard or something like that, and just start singing Yellow Submarine, and it makes me believe that I may be doing this parenting thing. Okay. Kenny, you got anything to add over there? We'll still talk about Auburn if you want to.
Go ahead, let him talk. Yep. So, Mike, we'll let you in on this. We got a guy that supposedly comes on every week, right?
Right.
He's an Auburn guy. He comes in. He has never showed up when Auburn loses, though. He completely.
He was in the hospital last week. I've still yet to see any excuse from the doctor because, again, if you're going to get excused from the show, then you have to have an excuse from the doctor.
Hey, you got to have a doctor's note, man. If you're going to miss class, man.
I mean, look, Clemson Dane has completely blown us off how many times, Doug? And he's never, ever come in with a doctor's excuse. You know why? Because he never said he was in the hospital.
He's never.
That's true.
So Tiggy's blown us off more than anybody, though.
Yeah, well, he's been blowing us off for how many years now?
Tiggy has hit me well. Yeah, he since Landon exposed that said that he was
pop back up now. Now that Washington's doing something.
Yeah, he's a UFC fan now. But anyway, since Landon actually showed that video and said, "I believe this is Tiggy," and I tagged Tiggy and brought him in, and Tiggy he got real serious on me, and he was like, "Yeah, man, that dude's a lot older than me. That's not me." He has not come on since that happened.
Yeah, he went ghosting. These guys.
He won't agree to it. He won't say it. Like when I ask him, he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm real busy. I'll hit you back," and it never happens.
He went ghost.
Yes.
Yeah.
He became a bandwagon Kentucky fan there for a little bit.
Doug, really, in hindsight, all the years that we've done this show has been actually like it's almost been a bane for trolls. JPC, unfortunately, Tiggy. I mean, Pike still fucks with us. Of course, he understands. We understand the grind.
Right.
Tiggy, I don't think Tiggy understood how in awe I was of some of his work. The thing with Scott Frost when he got hired at Nebraska was fucking hilarious.
It's amazing.
I will never ever not tell that story. I'm not going to tell it now because it seems like I told it recently. Because it's just go back and look at some of our old podcasts. It's fucking hilarious.
So how do we handle this kind of thing? I don't even think we should just.
Can we officially fire him now? Do we fire him on air? Do we have to do this off air? Is there administration have to be involved? Do we need to
we could do that. I think the best thing we can do is just when next time he says, like after Auburn wins the game or whatever, and he wants to come in, We just don't send them a link.
First off, before we call the lawyer, was there any paperwork involved?
No.
Okay. Well, this is it. This will be an easy thing. Alabama isn't a right to work state.
There you go.
So we shit can his ass for whatever reason we come up with.
So what other games did I forget about yesterday? Anybody remember anything? I know Texas played Kansas.
How about Penn State, Northwest?
I don't think we brought that up.
Ole Miss LSU was a pretty damn good game.
Oh yeah, it was.
It was, especially if you're a Ole Miss fan.
Penn State handled Northwestern. Penn State looks pretty good to me. Penn State might be a much better team than we realize.
I'm not. Well, you know how many times we fell for that over the years. Saquon Barkley, remember him? Yeah.
About as many times as we fell for Michigan. But in the last 2 years, Michigan has had the fortune to be able to beat Ohio State and get into the playoffs. So
I mean, look, Big Ten's playing in the title game. Okay, we'll talk.
But you do know what though? Out of all the basketball schools that was going into Saturday undefeated, Kentucky's still the only one.
Hallelujah. Hey, Mike, how you feel about stomping Florida 3 years in a row?
Hey, I love it, man. I'm 38 years old, and I didn't know if I was ever going to get to see them beat Florida or not, man.
So, Mike, what's your opinion on this? What's Florida's coach's name? I always forget. He's a forgettable character.
Dan Mullen.
Really Napier.
Yeah, Napier. Does Napier survive? I mean, he's lost 2 in a row to Kentucky now. Does he survive?
I think they'll give him – if he loses to us again next year, I think he'll be gone. But I think they're going to try to give him time to recruit.
Kentucky's not the Kentucky they used to be.
No.
This is a formidable team. I mean, right? Oh, yeah, for sure. They've won 3 in a row. They've also won 4 of the last 6, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking so.
And we should have beat them before we actually beat them. We just had a curse over our head 2 years before that. Leaving wide receivers completely uncovered for touchdowns and not getting a pass there. Them snapping the ball when the clock was all zeros and throwing a touchdown on us. But that's still got to play defense. But
when we finally did break through on them in 2018, the defense was so dominant at Kentucky that we held them scoreless the entire second half, even though we didn't score nothing and still won the game, and we didn't score at the end, right? On a miracle play, but that's the thing that's remained constant under Mark Stoops, in my opinion, is that the defense has been off the hook, and the linebackers. I mean, hell, look at the NFL and how many Kentucky linebackers there are, And,
I think yesterday was the first time our defense actually showed up the way our defense should have been playing all year.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of nervous about them, especially our defensive front. But they showed up.
But before that game, it was the secondary. It was carrying Kentucky. And then yesterday, our big guys in the middle was able to control the line and allowed the linebackers to play their gap schemes. So it's a good game for Kentucky. And I think that against Georgia, they're going to be able to put pressure on Carson Beck. What do you think, Mike?
I actually have a wager going with one of my buddies. He's in this group too. Georgia guy makes me wear a Georgia G every freaking year, unfortunately. But I told him, I said, I think we get them by 6.
Yeah, it could be. It's our chance, right, to win the East before it goes away. I'd like to see it real well.
Yeah, and even they might be undefeated and the number 1 team in the country, man. But I'll be truthful with you. I honestly think the best team, until proven otherwise, and I'm not even going to say us. I still think right now is Mizzou.
Mizzou's they're unexpected, but they got to play Kentucky too. It's all ahead of both of them.
Oh, we got to beat them now. Don't get me wrong.
Look, y'all keep talking about all these winners. Let's talk about the loser, because right now it's clearly it looks like the East might be the more dominant of the conference this year. But look at the bottom of the SEC West, just for a quick second.
Oh yeah, I mean Mississippi State is awful, guys. The whatever he did, he flipped the switch completely for Mike Leach, and it's not even entertaining.
Thank you for supporting Smacking Off the Podcast and College Football Dogs. And don't forget to stream in each Sunday evening for a live episode at 9 p.m.